this coursework. Lesson 3. We will review the modules live via Teams, which you probably already are on, or you may be taking this course on Udemy, self-paced. During the live course, we will go through lessons 1 through 10, and then we'll take break. Once we come back from break, we will do grounding, centering, and then we'll do the attunement. After the attunements, we'll take a second break before beginning the self-hand placements and then continuing with the remaining modules. Reiki is taught in 3 levels. So if you're at Udemy taking this, because I'm using the same lesson for both courses, there will be an email address for you to email me and set up your time to do the live attunements because I like to do them live. This way, if you have any questions about the course, we have a chance to talk and I can answer anything that you have that you may not, if you missed anything or didn't understand anything. And you'll also be able to join our Facebook group so that you can have that same support that everyone else has as well. And like I said, Reiki is taught in 3 levels. Level 1 is called Shodan. This is the beginner's level. It's about physical healing and opening to the guidance from the universe. The Western name is Reiki 1, but the Japanese name is Shodan, which means the beginner's teachings. Prerequisites for Reiki 1 is absolutely nothing. Focus on healing the healer before anything else. So this is where we'll try to build our practice for 21 days of self-healing. I will be incorporating it with different breath work each week for the 3 weeks. And I'll also be incorporating it's called the Morning Miracle, where I've borrowed some of that and tried to update it to today's terms so people have a chance to start a daily practice. I did it for myself. I think I said it in the other slide, where I found I was always doom scrolling on my phone. So I changed my habits and I felt a lot better. So it's something that for Reiki 1 we'll be working on. This provides the initial cleanse of the aura and the chakras, allowing the practitioner to be the clearest Reiki vessel. Cleansing is like a powerful scrub brush that removes the densities that we have accumulated. I'm going to turn the power on as if you're turning on a 3-way light to its lowest wattage. This is going to open you up the ideas of utilizing Reiki energy for the good of all, your animals, your pets, friends, family, food, plants, just about anything. Uh, there's a commercial. I don't know if everybody has the same commercial for Frank's hot sauce where the little old lady says, "We put that shit on everything." Reiki's the same way. You can use it on everything. You're just gonna turn up to the class. This is gonna include your initiations or attunements. There's 4 that I do for Reiki 1. It's going to teach you the basic palm healing technique, breathing techniques, cleansing, and meditation techniques. If you decide Reiki 1 is where you want to stop because you're just interested in doing that, that is absolutely fine. But if you decide to move forward, the next one is Reiki 2, which is, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, Okuden. And this is the deeper teachings and explains our connection to the universe. The Western name is Reiki 2, the Japanese name is Okuden, the deeper inner teachings. Now, the prerequisite for Reiki 2 is, of course, Reiki 1. And ideally, they want you to wait at least the 21 weeks to do the self healing. You can wait a few months. You can never do it. This depends on how you want to do it. And they say either a few weeks of practice or a few months of practice. Not essential, but I will. I won't schedule your Reiki 2 until 21 days. I keep track of everyone who's in each course. When the 21 days are up, I'll offer Reiki 2 if you decide you want to take it or not. Everyone who takes the course gets the first offering to take the next part. This continues healing of the healer that was started with the first degree. We introduce healing at the mental and emotional levels. For example, it'll help break up negative thinking patterns and negative actions in your life. going to expand your awareness regarding the human ability to send healing across distance. The distance can be a few inches to a few thousand miles to someone around the world or just across town. And I actually sent him to my son who lives in Sweden. He was having issues with his gallbladder. So I sent it to him and I felt like I was having a stroke. And I said, "Oh my gosh," I sent it the next day. I said, "Oh, I sent it to you and I felt like I was having a stroke. I could feel this pain going all the way up the one side of my body." And he said, "Oh, he had a really bad stone at that point, and he was really what I felt was what he was feeling." So I gave it to him because we're a 6 hour time difference. So I gave it to him again because he had a doctor's appointment the next day. And then when he went, he was fine. The gallstones were clear, and he hasn't had any issues since. So to me, Reiki helped. I'm not going to say it's a miracle cure, but in that instance, I feel that it helped him so he didn't have to go get the surgery done. Will it be that way all the time? Absolutely not. But at that instance, I feel like it did help, so he didn't need the surgery. We're going to expand Reiki healing frequency across time. It heals our earlier years in our current life as well as our past lives. So once you learn distance Reiki, you will learn how to go back in time to send healing energy to yourself. Maybe you had a really crazy thing happen or a really emotional thing happen where you can go back and send healing to yourself. And what that does is it kind of is going to bring it all back up, or it'll bring something up that you weren't aware of then to help you heal from whatever it was that happened. It can also help with past lives. And in my courses, I also am going to, because I learned how to do hypnosis for past life regression. So in any one of these three courses, you can take my hypnosis for free. It's part of my course, and we can do a past life regression therapy so you can see what lives you may be reliving this life and how it's coming out in this life so you know what you're working on. We will also introduce the first three symbols, including what they mean, how they function, how to use them. It turns the power on higher as if you turn the bulb on to its second wattage. It includes the initiation or attunements. On this, I do two or three. I think I do three on this one for each symbol. You will learn more intuitive palm healing techniques, more breathing and meditation, a deeper look at principles, the three symbols and their mantras, power, harmony, and connection. The requirements for practicing Reiki professionally, included on some Western style courses only. So I do have a separate section. I won't cover it in this part of the course because it's going to make it longer. But I do have, I'll probably put it up in Udemy, but I do have it in Reiki 2. There's videos that you can watch, and I can always put up if everybody's interested, I can always make it be its own class. It goes over the ethical things, licensing, and stuff like that so that you can actually practice, professionally on your clients. When you're doing Reiki 1, you don't charge anything because you're just learning and you're practicing. But by the time you are ready to do Reiki 2, you can actually open a practice and charge people for your services once you're licensed and take care of all your local things. If you decide to stop at Reiki 2, again, it's totally fine. If not, and you decide you want to go to Reiki 3, you do not need to teach. You may just want to learn it so you can get honed in all the way. This is the master level, and it's not like you're a master or you're better. It's just like a master's degree type of deal, where that's just the highest level that you are at this time. So this is called Shimpiden. It's the mystery teachings. It looks at essential questions like why are we here? What are we connected to? Where are we coming from? Or simply who am I? I know a lot of people have a lot of, not issues, but questions about who am I? What am I here? What's my path? This will help open those doors up. Sorry about the background noise. I got Alexa. It's my second brain. It reminds me to do things. So the Western name is the Master Teacher level. The Japanese name is Shippuden the Mystery Teachings or Shihan Teacher. Prerequisite is Reiki 1 and 2 and some experience as a practitioner. Now, some teachers ask for a minimum period of 1 or 2 years of practice before you get to the master level. Probably we're going to require 4 months. Um, I would do Reiki 2, and then I will offer you Reiki 3. It is up to you if you decide you want to take it. If you want to practice more, totally up to you. But I do offer it at the 4 month period. This focuses on health and healing and the spiritual soul level. It shows you how we are no longer in charge of the treatment. We never really were in charge. We turn the work over to Source for our own healing and the more profound levels of healing with our clients. It introduces the last symbols, including what they mean, how they function, and how to use them. There's also additional symbols that I have not used, but they're in there. Here in Reiki 2, there'll be additional symbols that you can use, but I don't get into those. I just stick with the main symbols, but you can use any of them. You can go back and watch them and learn to use whatever you want. There's another book out there that I do not have that's full of all kinds of symbols. There's different types of Reiki that has additional symbols, but I am not there yet, so I'm just doing the UC Reiki. This aids you in becoming more keenly aware that you are a conduit for the fine and light energy. Turns the power up to its highest level. The light is now at its brightest wattage. It explains how to teach the third degrees, and all 3 degrees, and the initiation or the attunements to others. But again, no one is required to teach, but you do commit your life to the highest good. It includes the master initiation. I do too, and even more breathing, meditation, the master symbol, the mantra, a deeper look at all the teachings from previous levels and how to give initiations and how to teach Reiki. Now, in Reiki 2, I'm going to continue the daily practices that we did for Reiki 1. But in Reiki 2, I'm going to have chakra work. So each week, you'll do your hand, yourself Reiki, and you'll do the chanting for the chakra for that week until we go through all the chakras. And at the end, we'll just have all the chakras lined up. So this way, you're doing your Reiki, you're clearing your chakras. Season one class course one will focus on breath work, learning how to breathe. It's important because eventually I want to get into quantum healing, and the books I'm reading on that, breath is very important. When you get into quantum healing, it helps you focus, and it's the breath of life. You start your life with your first breath, then it ends with your last, and you do a lot of stuff in between. So we'll focus on breathing, learning how to breathe in Reiki 1 and Reiki 2. We're going to focus on your chakras, how they work, how to clear them. We're going to work on your intuition, how that works, how to trust it. That was one of the things that I had the hardest part was believing what I saw and knowing it was okay to tell people, but not to try to interpret it for them. Just say, hey, this is what I saw. This is what came up. Like my son, when I said I had that pain, I was like, I said I felt like I was having a stroke, which I was just starting out. But I said I had this pain and I told him where it went to and from. And he's like, that's exactly where it was. So he knew exactly what I was talking about. And I have my one person. I gave her the course. She went through the whole thing with me, but I used to send her distance Reiki, and she said it's cool if I tell the story. So her family was sick, and I was sending everybody Reiki, and I'll pick. Now everybody's experience will be different, but when I do it, sometimes I'll see things, I'll hear a song, and I said, I told her everything I felt, told her everything I saw, and I was kind of hesitant with the last bit, and I said, I saw the Easter bunny. It was a rabbit. I don't know if it was really the Easter bunny or the white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland, a little waistcoat, monocle. And I was working on her husband at the time, and she said, "Just now?" And I said, "Yeah." And she started laughing because she has a cat named Dust Bunny, and he was sitting on her husband's lap the time I was working on him. So it was like an anchor, or this is what I saw, and she knew I was there because the cat was on his lap, and that was the cat's name, and I don't know the cat or the cat's name, but that is how my guides chose me to see it, so I could relay it to her, so she would know I was really there doing the work. So it's really cool when you get into it, but like I said, the hardest part is learning to trust yourself and what you're seeing, feeling, hearing, depending on how that comes through for you. And everybody's different. So I did have a course, when I took a master teacher course the first time. That teacher told me we don't tell stories. So she automatically squashed everybody in her course of intuition. Just how she taught, that's fine. I'm not judging how she taught. But all those people, if they saw something, there was nothing for them to tell their client. Like, this is what I saw, this is what I feel. And again, it's not diagnosing, it's just, they never diagnosed. I can never say that enough. We're not doctors, we don't diagnose. But if you can't tell them what you saw, what you felt, it's only half, to me, it's only half of the healing process. When the mind and body and spirit are in harmony, the biological intelligence that governs the body's resources and allows it to heal itself and function correctly are intensified. You're at homeostasis. That's where the body wants to be. Homeostasis. It wants to be even with everything working correctly. And our body, as I have found out personally, is like a house of cards. If one thing is off, the whole house crumbles. Everything depends on everything else to keep the whole machine working. So Reiki is the key that unlocks the body's optimum capabilities. It's the beginning. It's the start. It helps you heal things. I don't, like I said in all of my lessons, I don't like all or nothing things. This gets you on the path to where you need to be. It helps heal everything, but you still have to do the rest of the work. It's not a cure all. You have to do the work. There are seven main energy centers in the body that control the flow of the universal life force. They are called the chakras. Each chakra is responsible for supplying energy to specific parts of the body. When they are blocked or clogged, the body becomes sick and the flow of energy is diluted. So chakras can become clogged or blocked when we have some kind of big emotional trauma. Mostly from what I've been reading is trauma is stuck energy. So when the body is uptight, everybody knows you go into flight or fight. You want to fight somebody or you want to run away. But freeze is where the issues happen. There's actually four: flight, fight, freeze, and fawn. Now, fawn is where you try to get out of it because you're like backpedaling or trying to appease whoever the person's with. But freeze is where the issue is. Freeze is where you stop moving because you don't want the monster to see you. So you're not expanding that energy. It's not going anywhere. It sticks somewhere in one of these chakras or someplace in your body. And then it's going to throw the whole thing off. There's a good book called Waking the Tiger by Peter Levin, I think his name is. It should be in the recommended reading. Peter Levine, that's his last name. And in it, he describes the baby rabbit. You see the baby rabbit, maybe you pick it up, you buzz it with a lawnmower. If the rabbit goes into shock, sometimes it dies. It needs to run. If it runs away, it's fine. But if it stays put and it can't escape the situation, it'll sometimes go into shock and it can't get that energy moving. So that's kind of like what happens with people. If you get into a situation, and it can be something completely stupid, your body doesn't know the difference between this is something I chose to do, even though it terrifies me, and this is really a life or death situation. So it could be a surgery that you had to do. That's traumatic event to your body. It could be when you were little. Maybe you had a dental appointment, but you were 5 and you couldn't sit still, so they strapped you down and pulled a tooth. It's anything that trauma isn't always what we think it is. We always think trauma is this big, huge event, like a 9/11 type situation or something huge like that. But it can be something really tiny that feels insignificant looking back, but your body doesn't realize that it wasn't. And it just sticks somewhere in there and causes all this havoc. A full Reiki treatment reopens the chakras and rebalances the flow of the universal life force around the body. Person will normally need 4 full treatments on 4 consecutive days to boost the flow of Reiki energy. This will stimulate the body's immune system and natural healing abilities. Normally, the body will begin by cleansing itself of the blockages. As the blockages are removed, the body becomes rebalanced and the healing process can begin. So, when you move stuck energy, it could come out in all kinds of weird ways. I had a block in my solar plexus chakra, which is the yellow dot on this woman. And when I removed it, I burped. I'm not a burper person, but I burped. I burped for like 2 or 3 weeks straight. I burped almost all day long. All I did was burp because that was how this energy was choosing to release and come out. And it was I thought it was an anger issue, but it turns out it was an anxiety issue. But I would get angry over I would my anger would not match the situation. So, say the cat knocked something off the counter, I would fly into this rage and be really, really angry. And I'm like, I'm such a chill person. Why do I have this anger issue? Well, here it was anxiety. And I heard a critic's voice, or maybe I was in the middle of doing something and I had to get someplace and now this knocked over and it's going to make me late because I got to stop and clean this up. Well, I would just get really, really mad. So once I pulled this anger out or got this anger moving and flowing, when the cat knocked something over, I would have the habit of being angry. There was no charge behind it. There was no rage behind it. I didn't flip out. I just was like, "Oh my gosh," and I would go through the habit of it. So that habit around being angry about the thing being knocked over actually took me probably 2 months to release the pattern. The energy movement was quicker than the pattern around that had built up around that energy. So it's really fascinating when you get into it. So these are the chakras that we saw on the other woman. In case you're not familiar with them, I'll go over them. If you are, just bear with me because not everybody is on the same page when it comes to energy work. So the 7 major chakra points that everybody knows are the crown chakra. Well, actually, we'll start at the bottom because it all starts at the root. We'll start at the red one at the bottom, which is the root chakra. That is the first chakra. It's red. It is positioned near the genitals or the lower back of the spine near your coccyx bone, your tailbone. It represents life, physical vitality, birth and creation, the energy supply to the spine, kidneys, bladder, and uh, suprarenal glands, which are your adrenal glands. It also is about security. These are just brief. I'm building a course just about chakras. I may put that in Reiki 2. I'm not sure if it'll end up being in Reiki 2 or 3, but it'll go into more depth about it. And well, probably put it in Reiki 2. So this way, as you're learning the chakras, when you start doing your daily healing, you'll understand what they're healing. Now we go to the second chakra, which is the orange dot, the sacral chakra. It's positioned about an inch or two below your belly button. It represents sexual energy, perceptions, the first impressions of people. It's the energy supply to your reproductive organs, legs, and glands. Then we go up to the yellow, which is the solar plexus chakra, positioned just above the navel, like right in between, underneath the bottom of the ribs, and right above the navel in that area. It represents the center of the body. Food is assimilated, turned into energy, and distributed through the body. The energy supply is to the emotions, your stomach, liver, digestion, gallbladder, and the pancreas. Now, it's all of those, if you get into Chinese medicines, which we'll do in Reiki 3, each one is a different emotion that it covers. So, once you get through Reiki 3, there's a lot of additional courses in Reiki 3. We'll get into that as well. The heart chakra can either be rose or green. It's mostly shown as green. It's positioned in the middle of the chest. It represents emotions, love, devotion, spiritual growth, and compassion. The energy supplied to the heart, the thymus gland, the liver, lungs, and the circulation system. So most people live in their head. Everybody lives in the neck up. They're always thinking, 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 thinking. And a lot of us have cut off the body, which are these three lower chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus. Your heart is in the middle. That is the bridge between your body and your head, up upper chakras and lower. Your grounded earthly body and your spiritual body at the top. So when we do our level 2, if you go to that course, we'll learn how to work on each chakra and then connect your top and bottom so that your whole body is working together in unison. Then we move up to the throat chakra, which is light blue. It's positioned at the center of the neck. It represents self expression, emotions, communication, and creativity. The energy supply is to the throat, the thyroid gland, the upper lungs, the arms, and the digestive tract. If you talk a lot at work, like I do, it may be out of balance. If you find that you don't stand up for yourself, it also may be out of balance. That's a big one that gets out of balance a lot. Then we move up to the purple one, which is your third eye chakra, which is an indigo or a purple color. It is positioned in the middle of the forehead, just above the eyebrows, like right in between them, right at the top. Like if your eyes were together, make a triangle, it would be right there. That is my dog. If you hear that howling, it is my dog being sorry because I put them in the kitchen today. It represents psychic perception, telepathy, and ESP. The energy supply is to the spine, the lower part of your brain, the left eye, the pituitary gland, your nose, ears, and your central nervous system. This is where intuition is. This is where everybody wants to go so they can tune into everything and to your psychic abilities and your intuition. And then the one at the top is the crown chakra, which is either white or violet. It's positioned at the top of the head and it represents enlightenment, intuition, and spiritual vision. The energy supply is to the pineal gland, the upper brain, and the right eye. So this is the one that connects you as above to heaven, and if you believe in that, or the universe, or wherever source is for you, the root connects you as below to earth and grounding and all of those things. You also have an eighth chakra that is above the crown, which is like a golden color. If you ever see like the Jesus pictures or the religious pictures, they have that golden half circle around them. That is your, I butchered the name. I think it's Wakara. It is the one that we reach into when we do our Reiki to pull it down and keep us secure. And there's two on the palms of your hands and two of your soles of your feet. And those are the ones that we'll be dealing with the most. Many Many cultures have developed techniques and disciplines that stimulate the flow of ki energy around the body. However, Reiki is the easiest to learn and administer. The techniques are simple to master. The results are profound. Reiki is ever present in our bodies. This means anyone can harness this profound, inbuilt, intelligent energy for healing. However, without being attuned to the universal life force, you will only be using about 10 to 20% of its capacity for healing. Madame Takata, which we'll learn about in the Reiki history, explained it best when she described Reiki as being like radio waves. We cannot see them, but we know they are everywhere around us. When we turn on a radio and tune into the radio waves, we can pick up a signal. That signal is turned into a radio program. Similarly, the universal life force is everywhere. although we cannot see it unless we use Kirlian photography. When we are tuned in to the energy by a Reiki master, we can harness Reiki to heal ourselves and others. This gift of healing remains with us for the rest of our lives. Reiki is channeled through the hands. When you place your hands on your own body or the body of another person for the purpose of healing, you connect with the universal life force. The wisdom of Reiki goes to work on bringing about healing, balance, and whatever is needed on a holistic level. The best way to understand how Reiki works is to experience it. So you can either put your hands on a person or just above. They can like hover over and they'll still get the experience. It can be about the distance of a dollar bill, um, lengthwise up before you have to use distance Reiki on somebody. And also, you can actually give Reiki through the whole body. So, like if you give somebody a hug, you can just give a whole body Reiki. Um, if your pet's at the foot of your bed, you can kind of touch them with your foot, give it to your feet. But when we practice Reiki in a setting for others, can't do all that. So we just use our hands. And you will find once you're attuned that anytime somebody talks to you about something that that they need healing with, your hands will heat up. Every time I go through this course and talk about it, my hands heat up. So it's pretty cool actually once you get started. The best and most efficient pharmacy is within your own system. And the references for this section are Reiki Made Easy by Torsten Lang. Oh, little E didn't go big. Great book, great course. He's got a course that you can access on the internet. When I took it, it was only 1 and 2. I think he's recently finally got to masters on there, so you can get a master's through there too. So if you decide not to finish this one, you can always go on there and do it. But he'll make you start over from Reiki 1 and go through all 3 of them. See you in the next slide.